The chandelier gleamed above polished oak floors, casting warm golden light across the grand dining hall. The room fell silent as a young boy, barely 6 years old, slipped through the crowd of tailored suits and elegant dresses. His small voice cut through the murmurs, clear and confident, addressing the man at the heart of it all. "Daddy, can we play catch after supper?" Glasses paused mid-toast, conversations halted. Sarah Jenkins, clutching a silver tray, felt her heart stop as the unthinkable moment unfolded before the elite of Savannah, Georgia. Sarah Jenkins stood frozen near the room's edge, her hands shaking around the tray she nearly dropped. Her son, Noah, had just spoken the word she'd feared for 6 years. "Daddy." He said it with a bright smile, with unshakable certainty, in front of Savannah's high society, a world she was never meant to belong to. Ethan Caldwell, billionaire real estate magnate, powerful and untouchable, stared at the boy like he'd seen a mirage. No one spoke. No one laughed. Only Sarah knew the weight of that word. Only she knew what happened 6 years ago. Only she had carried the secret all this time. She'd spent her life cleaning the corners of that sprawling estate, striving to stay unseen. But now, her past had stepped boldly into the spotlight. This is the story of how Sarah survived in silence, shielded her son, and uncovered a truth no one could have foreseen. That night, she had no idea what lay ahead. Sarah Jenkins had mastered the art of invisibility. Born in Macon, Georgia, she was the youngest of 4, raised by a mother who scrubbed hospital floors and worked graveyard shifts to keep the lights on. Sarah knew survival. It wore thrift store sneakers and stretched every dollar. At 18, she left home with a backpack, a GED, and a stubborn dream. Savannah was vibrant but unforgiving. Sarah took any job she could find, waitressing at Greasy Spoons, folding linens at motels, until a position opened at the Caldwell Estate, a historic mansion on the outskirts of the city. The estate belonged to Ethan Caldwell, a tycoon who turned coastal land into gold. Hired as a housekeeper, Sarah became a shadow in a world of opulence, unnoticed among the magnolia-scented halls. Then came Noah, born quietly in a county hospital after a night Sarah had buried deep. A night with Ethan, not born of love or fairy tales, but of 2 lonely souls colliding in a fleeting moment of vulnerability. Ethan never knew. Sarah never told. She raised Noah in a modest staff cottage, tucked behind the estate's live oaks. She taught him to be kind, to ask questions, to stay out of sight when guests arrived. Noah grew fast, too fast, and with every year his resemblance to Ethan became undeniable. Same hazel eyes, same thoughtful tilt of the head, same quiet intensity. At first, Sarah could deflect his questions. "Where's my dad?" "He's not here, sugar, but I'm always with you." But Noah began watching Ethan from afar, peering through garden hedges, studying the man who never noticed him. "Mama, why does he look like me?" Sarah's heart sank each time. She wanted to shield him from the pain of being unseen, from the truth of their world, but children see what we try to hide. "One day," Noah whispered, "I think he's my daddy." Sarah's silence grew heavier, and in that quiet, everything began to unravel. All Sarah ever wanted was for Noah to have a life better than hers. Not a mansion, not wealth, just respect, safety, a chance to dream without the weight she carried. She poured every paycheck into school supplies, secondhand bikes, and baseball cards. Every Saturday, she took him to Forsyth Park, far from the estate, where he could run through fountains and ask endless questions, free from the shadow of their hidden life. At night, she watched him sleep, wondering who he'd become. She told herself her love was enough, but love can't erase truth. Noah was growing, noticing. He saw other kids with dads who coached Little League or grilled burgers in backyards. He didn't complain, but he watched. His questions sharpened. "Do I have a dad?" Sarah nodded softly. "You do, baby. Where is he?" Silence. One evening, Noah stood by their cottage window watching Ethan stride from his sleek SUV to the mansion, phone pressed to his ear, commanding and distant. Noah didn't blink. "He walks like me," he said softly. Sarah froze. The moment passed. She distracted him with a story, but it was too late. Days later, she found a sketch on Noah's bed. 2 stick figures, one small, one tall, both with the same eyes. The word Dad scrawled above the taller one in blue crayon. Sarah's heart shattered. That night, she sat clutching the drawing, memories flooding back. That night with Ethan wasn't planned, wasn't meant to last. He was grieving a business partner. She was reeling from her mother's diagnosis. 2 people, lost in their pain, found solace for one night. Sarah never asked for anything, never dreamed of telling him. Who would believe a housekeeper? But now, her son, their son, was searching for answers, and her lies were running thin. Sarah told herself she could manage it, keep Noah away from Ethan, keep the truth buried. She believed if she stayed in the shadows, the secret would stay there too. She thought she could hold it all together. The Caldwell estate glowed that night, hosting a charity gala with Savannah's elite, politicians, tech moguls, and Southern aristocrats sipping sweet tea martinis under chandeliers worth more than Sarah's life. She had dusted every surface, pressed every tablecloth, memorized every order from the estate manager, Walter Brooks. Nothing could go wrong. Sarah told Noah to stay in their cottage. "Promise me, sweetheart, just for tonight." He nodded, but 6-year-olds make promises like fireflies glow, bright but fleeting. As a jazz quartet played its second set and guests admired a low-country painting in the grand hall, small sneakers pattered across the hardwood. No one noticed at first. Noah was small, quiet. But as he neared the center, heads turned. Who's this child? Ethan Caldwell stood by the bar, glass in hand, deep in talk with a senator and a shipping magnate. He didn't see Noah until a tiny hand tugged his sleeve. Ethan turned, and time froze. "Daddy," Noah said, grinning up at him, "can we play catch after supper?" The silence was deafening. Eyes widened. A glass shattered, the sound echoing like a gunshot in the hushed room. Sarah, stationed across the hall, saw it all. Her tray wobbled, her knees buckled, her breath caught. Ethan stared at Noah, face unreadable. "I'm so sorry, sir," Sarah stammered, rushing forward. "He doesn't know what he's saying. He's just a child." Ethan stepped back, confusion sharpening into something colder. "Who is this boy?" he demanded, eyes on Noah, voice like steel. Sarah reached them, breathless. "He's my son." Ethan turned to her. "Your son?" "Yes," she whispered. "His name is Noah." A cruel chuckle rippled from the crowd, sparking whispers. "Is this a prank?" Ethan snapped. "You let your kid crash my gala and call me his father?" "No, sir, I swear I never told him that." "Then why would he say it?" Ethan's voice rose. Noah flinched. Sarah knelt, wrapping her arms around him. "I'm so sorry. He's just a little boy. He meant no harm." Ethan's eyes locked on hers, a flicker of memory stirring, a night long buried. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Sarah stood, voice trembling. "We'll go. I'll take him back. Please." Ethan spoke, low and icy. "Do that." Sarah led Noah away, the weight of every stare burning her skin. The room buzzed with whispers, laughter, judgment. In the service hallway, Noah looked up. "Mama, why did he look at me like that? Did I do something wrong?" Sarah knelt, brushing his hair back, hands shaking. "No, baby, you did nothing wrong. Then why'd he say he's not my dad?" Her voice broke. "Because he doesn't know who you really are." Noah's eyes welled, but he nodded, brave and small. That night, Sarah sat by his bed, still in her stained uniform, hands trembling, heart aching. The secret was no longer hers alone. It had burst open before the man she'd hidden it from most. She didn't know what was coming, but something had shifted forever. The next morning, Noah was quiet. He didn't race to the window or chatter about breakfast. He sat on his bed, holding a crayon, staring at nothing. Sarah watched, her heart breaking. She forced a smile. "Want to hit the park later? Just us?" He shrugged. That shrug broke her. She sat beside him, the cot creaking. "Noah," she whispered, "I know last night was confusing." He nodded, eyes on the crayon. "I should have told you more. I thought I was keeping you safe. I thought my love was enough." He looked up. "Mama," he said, "I wasn't his. but I feel like I am." Sarah couldn't breathe. She touched his cheek. "You're the bravest boy I know. Then why doesn't he see me?" She had no answer that wouldn't hurt more. That night, after Noah slept, Sarah opened a tin box hidden in her closet. Inside was a faded photo, her and Ethan, 6 years ago, at a staff barbecue by the river. He had his arm around her, both smiling, the Savannah sun behind them. It was her only proof he'd once seen her as more than a shadow. She hadn't looked at it in years. Her hands shook as she held it. So much had changed, but a spark inside her hadn't. She couldn't undo the past or the Gala, but she could stop hiding. She didn't know how Ethan would react. Maybe he'd deny it, fire her, hate her. But for Noah, for herself, she had to try. She folded the photo, wrote a shaky note, honest and raw, and slipped it under the door of Clara Evans, Ethan's trusted aide. She didn't know if it would matter, but for the first time in 6 years, she dared to hope. The envelope sat on Clara's desk for a day. Clara knew Sarah, quiet, reliable, invisible by choice. When she opened the note and read Sarah's trembling words, she paused, then studied the photo. Ethan Caldwell, 6 years younger, arm around Sarah, with a smile the tabloids never caught. And those eyes, Noah's eyes. Clara tucked the envelope into her bag. That afternoon, as Ethan reviewed property deals in his study, Clara knocked. "There's something you need to see." Ethan raised an eyebrow. She handed him the envelope. He read the note, studied the photo, then leaned back as if struck. "You knew about this?" he asked. "No," Clara said, "but I wondered after the Gala." Ethan said nothing, staring at the photo. The next morning, Sarah noticed something odd. Ethan didn't breeze past her as usual. He paused, met her eyes the first time in years. Neither spoke. Later that week, Noah found a package at their cottage door. Inside, a new baseball glove and a sketch pad with an unsigned note. "Keep dreaming big." Sarah recognized Ethan's handwriting. That night, she sat with the glove beside her, wondering, was this a beginning or just a gesture to ease his guilt? She thought about leaving, quitting before he changed his mind, but Noah's joy, untouched by fear, held her back. She couldn't take that from him. What if Ethan didn't want to be a father? What if he saw them as a scandal? What if this kindness was all there'd ever be? Sarah wrestled with her fears. Meanwhile, in his study, Ethan sat alone, the photo on his desk. He saw Noah's eyes, his eyes. He recalled that night with Sarah, not just the whiskey, but the connection. He felt seen by her. Now, a boy with his face had called him Daddy before Savannah's elite. Part of him wanted to hide, to protect his empire, his image, but he couldn't. For the first time, he wasn't thinking of deals or headlines. He was thinking of a 6-year-old and a woman who asked for nothing. That terrified him more than any boardroom. The next morning, Sarah was polishing the foyer when Clara's voice broke through. "Sarah, Mr. Caldwell wants to see you in his office. Now!" Sarah stood, heart pounding, hands damp. She smoothed her apron, took a breath, and walked toward a conversation that would change everything. The hallway stretched endlessly, her footsteps echoing off the high ceilings. She'd cleaned Ethan's office countless times, careful never to disturb a pen. Now she was stepping in to leave something permanent. Clara opened the door. Ethan stood, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, his expression unreadable. "I read your letter," he said. Sarah nodded, barely audible. Ethan stepped closer. "You should have told me." "I tried," she whispered, "so many times, but I was scared. I had nothing, no one, and I couldn't lose the only safe place I had for him." Ethan nodded. "Is he mine?" Sarah swallowed. "Yes." The word hung between them, fragile but unbreakable. Ethan sat on the desk's edge, not angry, just human. "I remember that night," he said. "I felt less alone with you than I had in years." Sarah blinked back tears. "Noah, he's a good kid," Ethan said. "He's sharp, sees people like he already knows them, and he has my eyes. I didn't want to believe it, but—" He exhaled. Sarah stepped forward, voice soft. I never wanted anything. I just didn't want him thinking he was a mistake. Ethan stood, walked past her, out the door. Sarah turned, confused, then heard it. Laughter, bright and pure. Ethan was in the garden, approaching Noah, who was drawing in the dirt with a stick. Ethan knelt, eye level with his son. "Hey, Noah." The boy looked up, cautious. "Can I join you?" Noah hesitated, then nodded. Ethan sat, picked up a stick, and scratched a lopsided boat in the dirt. Noah grinned, adding waves. Sarah watched from the garden's edge, hand on her chest. This wasn't a vow or a storybook ending. It was something real, a start. In the weeks that followed, the Caldwell estate looked the same, but its heart had shifted. Ethan made no headlines or grand gestures. But every morning, Noah ate pancakes in the main dining room. Every afternoon, a tutor arrived, not for an heir, but for the boy who'd once hidden in the shadows. The staff whispered, "Of course." Walter Brooks seemed uneasy, but no one challenged Ethan's quiet change. He had chosen. Sarah kept working, still sweeping, still polishing, but now she was seen. Staff stepped aside in halls. Clara smiled with new warmth. Ethan joined Noah for story time, sketching sessions, walks by the river. Noah glowed, not because his father was powerful, but because someone saw him. Sarah watched, needing no title or apology. What she had was enough. Sometimes the greatest triumphs aren't loud. They grow in the quiet. A boy who knows he's enough, a man who chooses truth over pride, a woman who never stopped guarding what mattered. The strongest stories live in the in-between, in what's endured, in what's finally shared.